Hi guys, this is my special education interview presentation. I'm Kimberly Roth and this is September 2, 2017. So some of the two program standards I chose for this one was Program Standard TL3A. The education leader will work collaboratively with school community to improve teaching and learning. I think that particularly for special education, we have so many different people that we need to kind of keep on the same page. We have the SPED teacher, the classroom teacher, the administrator, paras, parents. We all want to keep them working together as a team. And that really helps us as we're trying to meet the needs of each student. Also, ISTE number 3C, educational administrators promote and model effective communication and collaboration among stakeholders using digital age tools. Communication is really important, particularly for parents to know what's going on. In special education, keeping those parents on the same page with us is really crucial. And our digital age tools can make that process a lot more efficient and a little less time consuming than your old paper and pencil. So at our school, most of the people that I talked to all mentioned that we find very few new SPED students at the high school level. By the time they hit high school, it's very rare to find some new ones. Occasionally they'll have something that comes on like a later onset, and then they'll find they need some extra help with something. Primarily the classroom teacher is the one who flags or tags a student maybe looking into seeing if they need extra help. Usually if a classroom teacher is having trouble with a student learning process, they'll talk to other teachers and see if it's a problem across the board, if it's just in one subject area. At that point, they'll talk to the SPED team and also talk about contacting parents to kind of start the process of what we call our SATI intervention, or student assistance through intervention. We also have those forms on our school web page, so if a parent has a concern and they'd like to start that process, then they can do that. Our principal did mention sometimes parents are filling out those forms mainly just to get their kids better grades, whether or not they truly need help or not. Sometimes that is an issue as well. I found it kind of interesting. Our administrator said that their biggest issue is keeping and retaining paras. They said their salary for those paras is really low, and so they have a really high turnover rate for their paras. And they are hoping that the district will maybe consider raising those salaries a little bit. They said it's really hard to do what you need to do if you don't have your adequate staff to do that. Our SPED teacher talked about how it's hard when you aren't with your kids all the time, especially at the high school level, trying to teach them that some of that autonomy that they need to be able to have to be successful in the classroom. And also figuring out how paras and classroom teachers are working together to make sure they're meeting the needs of the students. Our para was new this year, so they were just figuring out a lot of procedures and learning the kids' names and just kind of figuring out each individual kid's needs. So some of the things that they found rewarding were seeing those individual students succeeding. Just seeing those light bulb moments, seeing frustration turn into just success and things going well. Those moments are sometimes few and far between, but they're so rewarding when they actually come about. Seeing those students being able to learn and grow, and those were the most rewarding part of pretty much everybody's job there. So some advice on supervision of SPED staff mainly included communication, working together, and being willing to learn and grow together. Not just always thinking you have all the answers. A lot of those people are specially trained, so they have a lot of good resources that maybe as an administrator you may not have as much knowledge or information about. So being willing to ask questions, to be a learner, to grow, to work together, those were all kind of across the board things that were recommended. And I think everybody was on the same page with this one. How to effectively work with parents was just communicate, communicate, communicate. Timely and consistent communication, working together as a team, keeping up-to-date records were some of the things that they thought were important to keep parents in the loop as to what's going on with their kid. So how do they work together with regular classroom teachers? So working together with regular classroom teachers for students with special needs. So the administrator is part of the process of identifying that special needs students. He's going to be at that initial meeting with parents. and SPED teachers and classroom teachers. The SPED teacher mentioned that teachers need to know that they're there to assist them and that each person has their individual strengths and weaknesses. And so having a team of people kind of helps to balance some of those strengths and weaknesses out. Again, talking to each other to meet the needs of every learner and being able to help in and out of the classroom. So sometimes you're in there in the classroom and sometimes maybe you're talking to a teacher besides that class time, or even helping that communication process with the parents. So they all kind of work together to make sure all the needs of the student are being met. Some advice for a first-year administrator. Our administrator said take some additional training in special education law and finance. Said we don't usually get enough of that in our programs. He also mentioned making sure you meet all the IEP deadlines so you don't run up to things and not have it done. Our SPED teacher remembered that education and learning is our priority and to utilize all the resources that we have available to us. The parents said to remember that parents are really important and vital to the success of a student and to seek the advice of special education specialists. All right, the role of the SPED teacher and building principal. The administrator said they're both part of a bigger team and network that is there to meet students' education goals. And SPED teacher said simply similar. Our priority is educating that student, so being part of that team is really important. And the para said that they're kind of, the administrator takes the big picture and the SPED teachers are doing more of the day-to-day interaction with the student. But they're all part of a big team to help that student meet their needs. So some characteristics for an aspiring administrator. So the administrators mentioned again knowing that special education law, and also that acceptance of all students, having that attitude that doesn't matter what point that student comes in, you're there to help educate them. The SPED teacher talked about actions speaking louder than words. How we treat others is going to show what our values are. And then the para talked about making sure that each student is the priority, not just the ones that are high achievers, but every single student, making sure that they have them as a priority for learning. So my reflection, I really enjoyed the interview parts of my classes at FHSU. I really enjoyed talking to those who have been in the positions and can give me some words of wisdom. It was interesting to hear the administrator talking about additional training and professional development and how we don't always get what we need during our training process, and that some of it's on-the-job training, so kind of what we've been learning in this class. I also think that just listening to some of them, sometimes everybody has the things they want to do, and it's difficult to try to do all the things that they want to do. Sometimes there's just not enough time, not enough staffing, and so sometimes the things we're supposed to do fall between the cracks. So it's difficult to do that, and I don't know that anybody has a solution yet, but we all want to try to do our best to meet the needs of every student. So in the evaluation, there's a lot of overlap. I mean, people were pretty much on the same page of what they were saying. They wanted to put students first, and every student being given the opportunity to learn. Communication was emphasized a lot while talking to parents. The administrator has some more of the specifics about what he would recommend us learning and what he felt would be beneficial, but pretty much across the board, everybody was in agreement as to what was truly important. So for my projection, I think out of all the areas that all the classes I've taken, I think special education is the one I feel least prepared for. I haven't had as much experience with it. I haven't had a ton of students with special needs, and so I think that I definitely need some more learning in special education law and finance. I also want to be more proactive now, even with my students that I currently have, making sure I'm following what I need to do to give them all the resources that they need for learning. I'd also like to seek out more, maybe some stuff from our district, like our SPED director and student services director. Also, our vice principal is in charge of our special education side of things. So just kind of seeking out some more resources so I can be a better teacher even now. In the future, hopefully leading in this area as well.